For the third year in a row, the Society of News Design has sent judges to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, to look at entries for the Best of Digital Design competition.
I think in the third iteration of the contest, one of the really important things that we have now is experience. And so we're building on the last two contests in the sense of we have a sense from our contestants and from our awards what categories work. We have a sense of what kinds of teams we need in terms of the makeup of the judges, how we can be diverse but also have experts. We have a much better sense of how to pace the contest. We have a much better sense of how to audit the entries. So I think practice matters a lot. But I think also what's nice is because we have this experience, we can better adapt to the changing world of news applications and news websites. And I think that's one of the most important things is that this year's contest is different than last year's contest because the entries demand it be different. The mechanics of the contest are a little bit different this year than we've done in the past. When we restarted the contest 3 years ago, we borrowed heavily from SND's print contest and the traditions of the print contest. And those make sense in that context because the SND print contest is an analog contest. So we did analog things. We chipped and we used cups and we had a lot of different mechanical ways of doing things. And there were some great things about it. But in many ways, a digital competition deserved digital judging. And so one of the things that we were able to do this year more successfully than we've been able to do in the past was have our judges see the entries before they get to Muncie, do some pre-judging when they look at those entries, have the judges be able to digitally file their votes, to look at the entries in the context without having to move around, without having to engage in any of the sort of mechanical choices that we had to make in the past. Is it different for different sake? No, I don't think so. I think doing it all digitally this year makes sense not only because it's a digital contest, but because it makes us more efficient, more effective, and less prone to error.
I think the biggest differences between the digital competition and the print competition, there are two main differences that I've noticed. When you're at Syracuse and you're looking at the print competition, you get a chance to take a sweep of the entire category all at once, and you kind of walk the floor and get a sense of everything that's entered within a category. In the digital competition, that's not an option. You see the individual entries one at a time, and that takes a bit of getting used to. The second thing is the amount of time that the judges are required to spend with every single entry here. Again, in print, you can get a very quick sense, is this working for me, is this not, and you can pass on it. The digital is much more complicated because you have to dig, and find out exactly what really is working and what isn't working in a particular piece.
4 years ago, when we started re-envisioning what an SND digital competition looked like, the first thing we talked about was World's Best, because it is the most important thing. And frankly, it's taken us 4 years to really get it right. And I think this year, dedicating an entire team to World's Best and having it be run by someone with the experience of Tyson Evans is going to make a huge difference in the quality of the World's Best entries that were looked at, and in the thoroughness of the vetting, and in the quality of the chosen World's Best entry.
Yeah, I mean, World's Best is a really interesting category. It's a young category too, which I think makes it even more exciting in the fact that World's Best is in parallel to the print competition, where we have an opportunity to really focus on the full spectrum of what makes a well-designed news website, which makes us ask all sorts of interesting questions of what's news, what's design, how much of a role does interaction, how much of a role does aesthetics play. So this year we're really trying to spend a lot of time with a wide range of sites, everything from tablet apps to phone apps to the web, and it's really fun to kind of walk around the world and see how everyone's trying to solve these problems in different ways. And the interesting thing is you're seeing, kind of an entire class of applications having to respond to this kind of multi-device world we're in now. So you're seeing everyone trying to either tackle that head on or tackle it from the fringes, and trying to make small adjustments or just completely overhaul their sites. And you're seeing a lot of sites in transition So they adapt to a phone, so they adapt to a tablet, they adapt to a touch paradigm versus a mouse paradigm. So there's a lot of stuff in transition right now. You know, it's interesting, when you're looking at such a large quantity of stuff, you see patterns very quickly. And those patterns really help you focus in on what you find to be important, what you find to be interesting. And more than anything, this award is a chance for these judges and the society to kind of make a stand and say, we think this is important. We think this is something to look forward to in the future, and that this is a great snapshot of what great news design is right now.
One of the most difficult things about picking the judges is making sure that we have a great and diverse mix, but also that we have a range of expertise. So we want people who represent different areas of the country and different areas of the world, people of different genders, people of different ethnicities, but also people with really different specialties and expertise in the craft. And so we have people who are experts in data, we have people who are experts in design, we have people who are comfortable with development, we have people who are polished visual storytellers. And what we tried to do on each of our 3 judging teams is make sure that all of those characteristics would be represented. We didn't try to say we're going to focus in on a single kind of characteristic in our judge, but rather that we want each of our teams to be prepared to be able to judge any of our categories. And that's not an easy thing, but what I'm excited about with this judging pool is I think they can do it.
We've been seeing a lot of trends, I think. Actually, nothing that has been especially striking in terms of kind of like over-the-top trends that would hit you in the face every time you kind of open up a handful of entries. But I think what we've been seeing is a trend toward simplicity and kind of boiling down, you know, large, big ideas, complex thoughts and complex kind of processes and pieces of data and information, and boiling them down into really accessible, like really simple points of entry. So that's not always necessarily giant data projects, but you know, we're seeing things, people addressing government issues and public documents and sports and all kinds of things that, you know, might be kind of difficult if you're not really into it to get really care about. And they're using design in really smart ways to kind of take your average person, your average reader, your average viewer by the hand and say, like, no, this is, you can do this too. And which has been really nice. It's been really nice, and even though it comes off really simply on the front end and on the surface, you know that there is a ton of work, you know, on the back end that has gone into it, in the planning, in the storytelling, in the framing, in the analysis, and in the parsing through, which has been really nice to see.
Not surprisingly, even while we're here at Muncie, we're already thinking ahead to what can we do differently, what can we do better next year. One of the things I'm pretty thrilled about is we have a great digital competition committee, and that competition committee is here, but also, even when they're not here, are thinking about what could be better about the contest. We're thinking about how we can make the entry process better. We're thinking about how we can better prune the category list so it's more representative. And we're thinking about how we can get the kinds of judges that we need here, and then when they're here, how we can make the contest even smoother. We believe that next year the site will be even better. We believe that next year the judges will look at even more work, but we think we can do it more efficiently and produce the same great result.